I messed this up last time too. What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Backliners podcast. My name is Dolson, not aggro, but I think I did an all right job this time.
Did a great job.
I got better than last time, right? Little by little, we're getting a little bit better. I've got Barracuda with me, and we're going to talk all things Smite play-in tournament. Nope, that's not the right one.
Oh.
The Kickoff tournament.
Yeah, Kickoff
play-in tournament was like 2 months ago.
It's all the same thing to me.
It is all one and the same, except one of them you had to not participate in, and then the other one you did have to participate in.
Not for long.
Hey, and you know what? Maybe the mindset was you got Oni warriored, right? I think the Kings got Oni warriored, the Dragons got Oni warriored. You only lost 2-0 to the Onis.
And we got a free weekend if you think about it.
That is true. Who had to come in from your team? Who was in? Who did I talk to? Ferrymen? Yeah. Poor Hurry had to come in on Sunday. Poor guy. Before we sink into the matchups, though. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just like, I'm not gonna drive over, boys. One of you guys that lives like 5 to 10 minutes away can drive over. I'm not driving 40 minutes to sit there for a draft. Because initially we thought it was like Warriors and Dragons choose everyone. And
yes, right.
Into like a snake draft or something where you choose the next person down or something.
Yep.
So either way, I'm not
unlucky. No, CBA drive all the way over to the studio. From what because remember we talked. I don't remember what you and Agro talked about in the week. So you and I did the big update, the 10.3, and then
we did a little play-ins prediction, and then we kind of went over the patch notes because it was so big, and I wanted his kind of opinion on everything.
Oh, right, designer, good.
Yeah, exactly.
From what you guys talked about and what we talked about, just meta in general, did you get a taste of what you kind of expected at the play-in tournament with God priority, item priority? Did everyone kind of hit where you figured they would?
Well, kind of. We knew what Warriors were gonna do to us. And I was like, I don't want to play one of the the more gankable certain Ishtars because I know how Pantom's playing, I know how Jake's playing, and I was like, I was practicing the Hachi going into it, and I was like, it feels really good in lane, but I never played it in scrims against a Ymir. And they top 2'd the Horus, and then bottom picked Ymir, and I was like, oh. Nice.
Yeah, unlucky.
We're not gonna have lane pressure in this lane, I guess, because we were like Hachi Nox versus Ymir Cern, I think. And you can't get pressure in that lane, turns out.
No, and here's the thing, is you're learning, right?
Exactly. And then also, I had a bit of ex-teammate syndrome, I think, at my purple buffs. Really did not want to give those up. I even said in comms, they're going to invade my purple, it's fine. And then I walked around the corner and died. So that was probably not great. But it was just like, it was my first time playing against Jake, and I really did not want him to invade my purples. So maybe next time I won't walk into 3 different 1-on-2 situations trying to defend my purple buff. Or walk into a Merlin that was about 2,000 gold over me. That also wasn't fun. I kind of got one shot.
That doesn't feel great, no.
No. Ben said that guy was big, and I was like, yeah, right. And he was really big. And
how big could he be, right?
Exactly. He just ice stance me into fire stance me, and he just roasted a little Hachimon on the way out.
Well, look, it's early season, right? I mean, this is the time to be doing all that.
I was a bit surprised by Kings. I thought that they would adapt a bit better to Warrior style than we did. But I think the only game the Warriors lost this tournament was when they had Afro solo, which kind of surprised me just in general. I don't think Afro's a great solo pick right now.
Well, look, anyone who's getting the chance to play Afro right now might need to just take it because I don't know how many people are actually getting the opportunity to grab that pick. All right, so before we get into the X's and O's, Bera, um, let me talk to you a bit about how my food status changes depending on the time of year. What is this?
No,
do you not want to talk about my food status?
No, I saw your pillow and thought it was a person behind you.
Is it? Oh, what, on my chair?
On the other side, like coming from the light, and I just saw it on the corner
I don't have
of my eye.
I don't have a pillow over there.
No, you have one on your chair, right? Like the top of your chair, right?
Oh, this guy?
Yeah, that guy. Oh. I saw that out of the corner of my eye and thought someone was behind you. Okay, sorry.
I was terrified. I was figuring that because no one else is home right now. It's only me. And so I was thinking that something scary could be happening. But it's the time of year for me, Bera, where I am in weight loss mode. I am shredding off the weight, and low calorie is hyper important to me. And here's the thing with me and how much I hate actually cooking big put together meals. I hate cooking big put together meals, which is a perfect time of year, calorie smart meals, and you don't have to cook.
Really?
To make use of one of our sponsors on this episode, Factor Meals. Because here's the thing, Bera. Around or less than 550 calories per serving. And so for a guy like me, I'm trying to hit like 2,000, maybe a little over 2,000 calories a day to just shed off all the weight.
So much weight.
It is just a lot of weight to drop off. And diet is so important. That's what I think
of when I look at you, just
so how
is he going to lose all this weight?
Yeah, right. I got to do it. But luckily it's easy because with Factor Meals, I've got pre-prepared meals. I pop them in, heat them up, and they're there. I don't even have to cook them. You know what I mean? I don't have to do any of the dicing. I don't have to do any of the cutting, the chopping. I don't have to risk my limbs, my very important limbs, preparing these meals. And they're all healthy. 550 calories or less. And another good option for anyone of any type of dietary background.
That's me.
Vegan, vegetarian, high protein, calorie smart, you name it. They've got stuff for you. And so you want to head over to factormeals.com/backliners50 and use code backliners50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code backliners50 at factormeals.com/backliners50 to get 50% off your first box. And a big thing with me, Bear, I don't know how you are with takeout and all that, but like when I'm feeling lazy, I immediately go to takeout, to carry out, and I feel like I spend so much money on being lazy, now, you know? Yeah. And the good news is I can maintain my laziness while still eating delicious food and saving a lot of money compared to what I would be spending at the drive-thru, at the restaurant, and shred off all of that weight. You know, people look at me and they have to stop themselves from yarfing. You know what I mean? They look at me and they say, "This guy," they say, "This guy has got some weight to lose." And of course, with proper diet, all things are possible, and Factor Meals can help me along on that journey. And that's factormeals.com/backliners50 and use code backliners50 for 50% off your first box. So thanks to Factor Meals for sponsoring this episode of the Backliners. And that is me and my mental health journey with the gym.
Perfect.
Fantastic state of mind this time of year.
I've been working out a lot lately.
That's what I'm talking about, Bera. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to get back into it, and I'm just going at like the slowest speed right now, so I don't hurt myself and get injured.
It's a good way to be.
This lower back is just every time I do back.
Hey, same.
There's a slight twinge, and I'm like, should I work out back today? And I'm like, yes. And then I just work out nice and easy, and then I come home and there's that slight twinge, and I'm like, that's fine. You know, that'll be great. And
no, I'm with you.
It's been good so far. I haven't been injured like I was last year for like 3 months straight, so I'm taking it nice. I'm taking it slow.
Yep.
My chiropractor did tell me I had a bit of scoliosis going on, so that's
okay.
fun.
Yep.
So I think I just work out through that and straighten up my back. I think that's how it works.
Good.
Yeah, I'm
you gotta brace.
This extra weight.
You gotta brace. You know what I mean? That's that's big on the back exercise. If you're doing anything where your hips hinge or anything where you're kind of bending forward or backward or you're bent over, you gotta tighten the core to prevent your spine from actually doing the old dance. And you know what, Barra? I can tell you look great. Your lower back is looking fantastic. You're just fishing for compliments, right?
That's really am.
That's unbelievable by you. We're getting off kilter, but that's okay. We build in like 5 or 10 minutes, right, before we actually get into it. I pinched what I assume is a nerve in in my lower back and in my hips, and for like 4 months, every time I would wake up, I was like stiff as a board. I had to like stretch for 10 minutes. I couldn't like bend down to tie my shoes. Like I had to sit and like haul my leg up onto the seat that I was with. You know, like Sam for soccer plays Smite with his feet up on the chair.
Yeah,
that's how I had to. Right, I had to put on shoes like that because I couldn't bend my back for like 3 or 4 months, and it's finally loosening up. That was my first major gym injury, which is surprising to me after like 4 or 5 years that it took that long for me to do something incorrectly.
Did you feel like coming, or was it like immediate?
It was, so I was doing hip thrusts, right? Everyone's favorite exercise to watch me do, maybe. I can't imagine why. I had the barbell across my like hips, and I had the little pad around the bar. And I had four 45-pound plates on either side, and so it was 405 on the bar.
Wow, that's about what I
was hip thrusting that bad boy. And I go down on one, and I did not do a good job of bracing. I kind of let off the tension of my abs for a moment, and I felt my back bend instead of my hips dipping down. It was the back that dropped the weight down, and I just felt the little tug. And I was like, and it did nothing snapped, like nothing, like none of that, but like I dropped the weight, and I was like, oh, this is gonna suck. And then for like I've pulled muscles before, but this was like 2 or 3 months worth of like pain and stiffness and sadness, and now I'm too scared to ever go back to that movement again. So to anyone, and I mean you, Barra, that like to watch me from across the gym, you're never gonna see it again.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I'm on the wrong gym schedule as you now. I've realized this. You and I don't go at the same time anymore, which is devastating to me.
Trying to go in the mornings. I went this morning at like 10 or so, and the gym was packed, bro. It was like
10 a.m. is a hot time. It was
terrible. I was like, I'm never coming at 10 a.m. So
was it kids? Was it like college and high school kids, or like just normal adult humans?
Anyone between the age of like 18 to like 70 was there. There was a guy working out abs with a respirator on, and I was like,
perfect.
That can't be good.
You gotta be careful, right?
I was a bit concerned for that guy because he was kind of wheeling his way around, and I was like, do I need to like talk to someone about this? Do I need to let somebody
And little
know?
do you know, he's like doing more weight than even I could do. You know, like he's throwing up more weight than he's like a gym old head. Yeah, I've noticed there's a spring break week where at 10 a.m. it was like miserable when all the kids came home, and that was tough.
It is weird to watch like a bunch of 13-year-olds running around the gym. I feel a bit old when I see that.
Hey, Barra, can I call you out publicly?
Sure.
I actually don't know if this is your responsibility, but we're currently playing Super Smash Bros. And reviewing the Summit Aftermath on Prediction Esports Twitch, title and game-wise. And so I'm sorry to anyone here who's here for Smash Bros.
Or the title.
I have no exclamation. Are you a mod?
Smite. I'm just gonna try to do it from the dashboard.
Yeah, I'm sure you can do it there.
I don't.
Aggro steps out once.
I don't know how to change the title.
Oh no! Well, you know what? You know what?
I don't know if that...
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
What did I just click? I clicked Microsoft Edge. Why is that still on my computer?
Oh, wait, I don't know how to change it. Wait.
And you know what? That's okay. I'm calling it.
Title?
I'm calling it out vocally, and we can go from there.
Okay, well, you talk about something real quick.
Yeah, I'll start speaking. And so this past weekend, not only a big birthday weekend for Dave. I'm the old 28 now, by the way.
Wow,
so talk about lower back hurting and muscle stiffness. I woke up on Sunday, so it was April 2nd, the final day of the kickoff tournament. Rolled out of bed and immediately fell onto the ground because my back gave out on me. Went to buy hair dye from the store because my hair started to look a little gray, and we can't be having that. No, you're right. I did not go buy hair dye, but I am nervous about the grays.
One of my friends does have a gray spot on the back of his head, so I was wondering if that was happening to you, but he's had that since he was like 18, so.
Right. I wonder, you know what? I actually know a guy like that who's just got a little different colored hair spot, and I actually think it's kind of cool.
It is.
I think it's really neat.
It's like an inch by an inch on the back of his head. It's just gray.
That's right. Well, that's going to be me here just around the corner now that I'm the ripe old age of 28. But other than that, this weekend, we had the Smite Pro League kickoff tournament. And so this was an interesting tournament in that it had nothing to do with Worlds. It had nothing to do with really anything except for finding the top seed from this event, because for phase 1 of the SPL, we're breaking down into 2 divisions, an order division and a chaos division. You play, officially order and chaos.
That's cool.
You play the teams within your division twice. You play the teams in the other division once, where in the past you've played every team in the league twice, and it's a longer phase. I think it's just a 5-week phase this time. At the end of that 5-week phase, top team from each division straight to Masters, and then the other 6 teams in the league have to go through some road, and I'm sure they're seeded based on where they finish in their divisions. And so the kickoff tournament this past weekend was purely just to find whichever team was going to finish first and then get first choice to send a team to the other division. Hello, cat. That was a very vocal meow. That was the most meowy meow I've ever heard.
She looked me dead in the eyes and just let it rip.
Yeah, that was... And you know what? Without context, that could mean so many different things, and I'm glad it means a meow and nothing else.
I remember last time you were on here, I was completely unhinged, and I'm trying to reel that back a little bit.
No, that's good. Look, when aggro is gone, when dad is away, we get to play. That's right, the kids can play a little bit. That one's on me. I dragged us down into that. All right, so we had the kickoff tournament this past weekend. It was kind of a standard bracket, best of 3s, 4 of them on Friday, 2 best of 5 semifinals on Saturday, best of 5 finals on Sunday. Again, just trying to find the number 1 seed to draft a team into the other division first, and then we kind of ping pong back and forth. So I think we can talk about phase 1 and talk about how the draft show and all that went at the end. But let's look over some of these matchups here, because I think there were some surprising ones. Started off the weekend, with that one, Ferrymen versus Hounds. My read, I have a difficult time maybe with this Ferrymen roster because they're obviously incredibly talented. I could see this team showing up at any of the LAN events, big tournament time. Maybe they turn it on. It's sort of that style of roster, that core of the roster that's made Worlds runs the last couple of years, but during the regular season aren't great. They're middle of the table, and then suddenly during Worlds they somehow find a way to go on a run. And so the Eldritch Hounds, the play-in team, 2-0'd the Styx Ferrymen in our first best of 3 on Friday. And I think for me, Barra, it's just interesting, and it was a surprising matchup and a surprising result just because of how poorly play-in teams have done in the past.
Yeah.
Where I'm used to, although I guess, was it last year? Maybe last year is when the Oni Warriors had to play in, and I knew they'd be a little bit better than what we were expecting. But for the past couple years, it's been Valks and Scarabs, and it's just been kind of those 2 bottom teams.
What's going to happen, yeah.
So I was surprised that not only the Hounds won, but that they won 2-0. They kind of took it to the Ferrymen.
Yeah, I don't think Ferrymen have the best read on the meta right now. Which I mean, a lot of teams don't, but I don't think Ferrymen really have their identity down. It kind of seems like they were maybe trying to do a little too much with the Turn-a-Box solo, or trying to fit a style that maybe wasn't theirs. And I also think that, like you said, the members on this team kind of need time to cook, and I think that
you just gotta let them cook.
Yeah, they're not going to be a team that will really come out in like a spring split or like a summer split, I think, and really like perform exceptionally well. I mean, they'll be good, but I think this is more of a fall split team, especially with kind of Cyclone coming back into the swing of things and just kind of like probably relearning shot calling, because I think Cyclone's like one of the best shot callers in the league. And also with Aurora, I think that duo lane just kind of needs some time to re-mesh together and kind of learn how to play with each other again. And also, it's just kind of a different meta right now, with a lot of people just kind of playing their own individual best picks and just kind of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, I think.
And yeah, they brought out the E-set jungle in game 2 of that. We don't have the matches updated online, so I've had to go back in the Smite VOD YouTube channel and scroll through picks and bans. And so game 2 against the Hounds, they brought out the E-set jungle. Of course, Sino being in the jungle, I think, gives that like a couple of extra points.
It is one of his major picks, and he does love to do the Sino combo on you. But also,
have you been Sino comboed, Bera?
I have. It's not the most fun thing to do in the world, and you kind of don't really have counterplay to it. I mean, in that game, I think it was game 2, where Oath just got a crazy quadra kill when they were pushing mid.
That's right. That's right.
Just an odd, I would say almost like disrespectful push. No one's really like looking for Oath. They're all just kind of like grouped up, and a Thanatos just has a Thanatos moment and just one-shots 3 people. And no one really like reacts accordingly, and they just kind of all die. But in general, I think Oath had a really good week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's your read on Oath? Because I think for a while, conversation around Oath has been if there are jungle swaps, things like that happening in the SPL. You know, there's rumblings that Oath might be the one to make a move over, and I think there's been conversations about him and sort of wanting to make it to the SPL on certain teams, things like that. I think showed us that he can be a hyper carry, not only for this team in general, but in the SPL. I think he had an impressive week 1 or day 1, and I guess week 1, and could be an X factor for this Hounds team.
Yeah, I completely agree. The kind of pro synopsis before was that he never really performed when he was kind of back up against the wall and needed to carry his team. But I think seeing that this weekend, he was still making tons of plays everywhere. Like, even in the Dragon set afterwards, he was still doing a lot on the map. And just playing really unhinged, which I think for him is what he needs to do, because his mechanics are so good to begin with.
Right.
If he could just put himself in the situation and just go for the play, which he was doing, I think he had a really great weekend.
Yep, I think this Hounds team could be threatening, could get better as the year goes on. We'll talk about their matchup against the Jade Dragons here in a little bit. And speaking about the Jade Dragons, they played in our second quarterfinal of the day on Friday, up against the Atlantis Leviathans and the GOAT of the moment, Gabe Ethan, subbing into to the mid lane for the Leviathans. And it actually started out really well for Gabe. That game 1 got Thoth for the Leviathans, and kind of slammed the Jade Dragons. Unfortunately for Gabe, got banned and then ran out in games 2 and 3, where the Jade Dragons. And I want to make sure I clarify this. I think our Twitter account tweeted that it's a reverse sweep. I don't think a reverse sweep is a thing in a best of 3.
I completely agree.
So in 2 straight games, the Jade Dragons then beat the Leviathans.
It's like a little like dust broom sweep. It's not a complete sweep. It's just it's a tiny sweep.
Yeah, it's.
Reverse
I don't have like a.
too much weight to throw it on a best of 3.
Right, it's 5s or 7s, you know,
Yeah,
it's you're down 2-0 or you're down 3-0. Is there any esport or sport that is longer than a best of 7? Because I know in Call of in COD, their tournaments, their grand finals are best of 7s, but that's the longest I think I've ever seen.
Halo would do 2 best of 5s.
Oh, that's right. They would reset if the lower bracket team won, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which is why I always love W.
Did Smite ever do resets?
No, I don't think so.
Like imagine, yeah, it's actually, well, we're gonna get sidetracked here.
Yeah, you're trying.
It's always a conversation around Worlds time where like, should we do double elim type brackets, things like that. And my counter argument is always, if the losers team wins in grand finals on Sunday and you do a full reset into another best of 5, it's like, I don't know. That's way too much Smite. I think we're there until 2:00 in the morning if the thing goes the distance, and it's too much. Anyway, Leviathans versus Jade Dragons. So game 1 of this set was the coming out party for Gabe Ethan, crushed on the Thoth. Do you know anything about Gabe? I knew nothing about Gabe coming into this weekend.
I played against him a lot in ranked, and he's always been pretty good. I was impressed with him on game day, and because I was calling this an easy 2-0 for Dragons, like very easy 2-0. Just having a sub in the mid lane that's trying to replace Shinto of all people.
One of the goats, one of the best in the world, right? Like,
that seems kind of difficult, and for them to win a game, I think means a lot for Levi's, and I can just kind of tell by watching that they were doing a lot to control the map into Dragons. They're just kind of going for a lot of Hail Marys, which in my opinion, if you're playing with a sub, going for permanent Hail Mary plays is the best way to play the game, and just making them react to you. Like, they were just going to like really early, kind of warrior style of play, just going to the objective, just hitting the objective, seeing what happens. And I really respect that out of Leviathans, and not just like trying to play a normal game of Smite, just trying to like do something slightly different. Not the methodical normal Leviathans play we'd see, and just kind of try to do like a little smork best of 3.
Yeah, you got to do it. So it wasn't the easiest debut for this Jade Dragons roster, but in a little baby duster sweep, Dragons would go on to win game 2 and 3, and started to learn early in this event that Mike was going to love his mage supports, and that I think supports in general. Although the Leviathans, what did Ronnie play? He played Kepri game 1, and then let's see if my scrolling, and then Maui game 2, and then what did he get in game 3? And then did end up playing Nox in game 3. So Mike showed us early that he was going to love these mage support picks. And I think this is interesting about the Dragons, and I'm still trying to learn about this team, where it feels like they've kind of got a new identity where they were able to play together well as a team in the first couple sets of the weekend, while also sticking to their like very specific, unique god pools. Like Dardes was playing very Dardes-y picks, as he will, right? I don't know if that changes. And it felt like Lasbro was kind of doing the same. And so after what was a rough game 1, I think the Dragons started to find their cohesion a bit.
Yeah, you just look at the sub and what the sub play. Oh, the sub played well in Thoth. Let's get him off of Thoth and see what he can do. And
right.
Unlucky for Gabe. Yeah.
Are you giving a sub Poseidon? Is a Poseidon a bit of a big swing in your mind in game 2?
That's it's what they were playing for, the big 50-50
I guess you're right, yeah.
Let's just go to something that's YOLO and see how they respond. If he's comfortable on post, like, when you play with a sub, it's just, you ask him, what do you want here? It's not really about, like, what's best for the draft. You just want to make your sub as comfortable as possible. And if he wants post, give him post, or, I don't know the whole situation, obviously, if, like, the team wanted post, but in my opinion, you just make him as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, it's one of those things probably where the event isn't season changing, you know? And so exactly. It's like, we got a guy who's playing for us, let's see what we can get done. But like, You're not going to make any massive strides on a quick turnaround like that. And then game 3, more hell for Mike. Had been playing Nox. AMC for Dardes out of mid. I think Lasbra and right one that I left out was Lasbra playing like Athena jungle.
Yep.
Which I feel like is just such a Lasbra-y thing.
It does a
do you
lot
think
of damage.
He was absolutely slamming on Athena jungle, and it was, I have to imagine, just obnoxious to play against. Do you get the feeling that this Dragons team and those types of picks, those types of god pools will change and kind of standardize throughout the year, where Lasbra's playing very Lasbra things, it's very unique, Dardas playing Dardas things? Or do you think that as players, from what you know about them, they're just going to stick with those picks, but maybe find a way to make it work in a more cohesive team environment?
From knowing Dardas, I think he'll try to learn a few new picks, and then if they don't work well in scrims on game day, he's probably just going to pick Hera and AMC or whatever else is in his god pool. Flask can play obviously like most of the assassins and like Athena and Hebo and Poe, so his god pool is pretty large most of the time. And then PBM just kind of always, I wouldn't say like wants to be different, but wants to be like slightly ahead of the curve most of the time. Right. And this is a tournament where he can kind of like flex his guns a little bit and just kind of be, or try to be a little different, or just see if the picks and scrims work the same on game day. And then Vote and Nika can kind of just play whatever's in the meta. And they've kind of always been the meta people.
They sure have, and they've been they had a good weekend this weekend, and so that was a 2-1 for the Jade Dragons over the Atlantis Leviathans. Moving on to our third quarterfinal on Friday was the Camelot Kings versus the Gilded Gladiators. So this is a tough draw for the other qualifier team. The Gladiators smacking right into the defending world champ Camelot Kings. And I remember you, Aggro, and I actually talked about this on the like roster breakdown episode a couple months ago. Conversation around the Kings largely was obviously they're the defending world champs. They just had a dominant Worlds run. Like, got to be one of the most favored teams. But the question was, would the meta play into how we know this team likes to play the game? Like something that could hold the Kings back if the meta moves away from what the Kings like doing and moves on to something else. Did not seem to be the case in their first set of the weekend. They kind of cleaned up quickly over the Glads.
Yeah, someone in chat just reminded me when they were, I think Gladiators could have won a game, but Bobby didn't bomb the Titan, if I remember correctly. I think Bobby
that's right. Like, there was a base racy thing going on.
Yeah, I think Bobby was like Fafnir or something, and I'm pretty sure his bomb would have killed Titan if I remember the situation correctly. Yeah, from scrimming against Kings.
Yeah, let me find this.
They were just still insanely dominant. They still controlled the map really well. They still, like, if you try to play the game a little slow, Kings will just always beat you. They just play the map better than you. They just want to be one step ahead of the macro play, and then BMT just loves to hit all of his buttons on you, especially as a backliner. He's somehow hitting me through the team fight. So yeah, Kings
that is brutal.
I called them before to win the whole thing, but it turns out obviously Warriors are the smart Kings of this tournament. So
we'll talk about them and you here just in a moment, Para. Don't you worry. I went back and watched that clip, by the way. It bombed 100%. I guess for my relatively uneducated opinion, definitely deletes the Titan there at the end of that game. So it could have gone to 3. And so, I mean, you look at a moment like that, there was a chance for the Gladiators on a risky, well, maybe not so risky if you got all the damage, call at the end of game 2 from sending it to a game 3. Limited data on this team. Watch them during the play-in tournaments. Talking about play-in teams and overshooting expectations which is what the Hounds did in our opinion. After what you saw from the Gladiators this weekend, is there concern of that being that squad kind of being the one that's catching a bunch of losses all year long, or do you think you saw enough to think that they could be a competitive team, take some wins off other squads?
Honestly, I can't really answer. They seem very 50-50 to me from scrimming them and then also watching them play. I don't want to say that they're a team that's just going to catch losses all year if they're, in my opinion, one game away from beating the Kings.
Yeah.
And I think that they have gotten a lot better. I think Bobby is performing really well right now. I think that they're a team that will need to find their identity and find what they're good at. And if they can perform what they're good at, they'll be really good. Also, I think it needs to be slightly different from the normal meta. I don't think they should chase after the meta. They should stay slightly different with whatever Snoopy wants to play and Kimmy wants to play. Also, Scary D likes to be slightly different too.
Yep.
So I think that they just need to play kind of their own game of Smite. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I just think they're in the middle right now for me.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a team that will just lose all year. But I don't think they're going to be near the top.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's sort of par for the course with some of the qualifier teams. I think they're a talented squad. I mean, you've changed up some of that kind of Scarabs team, but then somehow the Scarabs find their way back onto that roster anyway. And so there's history with that team. I think Kirimi could be an asset for the Gladiators over the course of this year as well. So the Gladiators bow out in the quarterfinals up against the Kings. It was expected, but if a bomb gets dropped there at the end of game 2, you're potentially going to 3 against the Kings. And
that being said, I think the Kings probably still win the set if it goes to 3.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah,
I'd agree, but I'm sure the Glads would feel a bit better about themselves if you were able to see that one go in. Alternatively, hey, our first tournament against the defending world champs. That's my mistake, guys. But like, look, we almost, we basically won that game if I play it perfectly. So I think there's some good. It is an overused caster phrase, and I admit this, but like sometimes, and we're so far from this with the Gilded Gladiators, but like in the past with these teams that they're 0-12 or whatever during the phase, and there's like just only so much you can say that like we try to be like, well, there's some good in this game. Here's some, like a couple of the moments that went well for them. Clearly we're not there yet with the Gladiators. The year hasn't even started, but they're actually, despite an 0-2, I think there are some silver linings and things to get excited about for the Gladiators team. So more Kings things from the Kings. Barry, you talked a little bit about it already. Highland Ravens, the Ka gang, Ka up against the Oni Warriors. And Oni Warriors that is not Nika, Dardes, Neil, Cuvo,
which is kind of funny.
Is always going to be strange to me. And this is a team that all of the casters had either last or second to last. And I stand by my decision making only in the sense that I've always said, and I might have even said this when we did the roster rundown, that this Oni Warriors team, so incredibly talented individually, but like I looked at them not knowing much about who doesn't like and does not shot call on this team, and I had no idea what their identity was going to be. And a team without an identity on paper, now we know they have one, but on paper kind of scared me, which is why I ranked them so low. But clearly, me and the rest of the gang were woefully misguided, because this Oni Warriors team, I think, caught a lot of people by surprise this weekend.
I mean, to go 8-1 in a whole weekend is kind of crazy. And then, like I touched on earlier, we kind of knew the style of play they were going to play against us. Unfortunately, we got a bit caught out in the draft when they put the Horus solo. We definitely learned a lot from that set of definitely just the meta in general and what we as a team need to do. Because we were kind of hoping to get jammed for a while and then kind of come back. And not like we're going to the game hoping or knowing that we're going to be like down 3 to 4K, obviously.
Right.
But just kind of like take smart decisions on the map and to take the fights that we think are going to be good. But unfortunately, I think game 1 was just a bit of a draft diff. I think the Ymir really caught us off guard in duo, especially, with them just wanting to hold W the entire time. And then with me going Hachi as well, it was kind of experimental, but it was going really good in scrims whenever I had pressure. And I kind of wanted something that was just going to survive to the ganks of Pantom, since that guy is the ganker of all gankers. So if I could survive the ganks, if I could survive the ganks, we'd be fine. But I think game 1, he got the double Thor dunk on me and Vin in mid lane. If we don't get double Thor dunked, we probably just kill Jake. But me and Vin kind of put on our horse blinders and tried to kill the Ymir. And then we got double Thor dunked. And if that doesn't happen, I'm pretty sure we can win the game. And then game 2 turned into a bit of an arena game. I think we had a bit of a lead, and then we just took fights everywhere that weren't great. I was really trying to defend my pro buffs for no reason besides the fact that it was Jake. And I'm not gonna say I was having a bit of fun, but I was just kind of like trying to get in his face back when he was getting in my face, which wasn't really good, because they just killed me and got my beats and my pro buff,
right?
Which was a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
But I definitely could have played way better. I think us as a team, we're still kind of learning each other's identities and how we want to play the game. Our scrims this week after our play-ins, or whatever tournament, kickoff tournament, have been so much better than before. Because I remember the previous podcast, I was like, it's a bit of a fiesta. We don't really know what we're doing. We don't really know what other teams are doing. But now after watching Warriors and just kind of what to do on the map and how to make map decisions, because going from season 9 to this season is a completely different version of competitive Smite.
Right.
Before, you were kind of left on an island in ADC, and like picks like Danzaburo would be really good because I could like play aggressive and try to solo the enemy ADC and like have pressure on purple and the camp on the outside. But now it's literally like you're playing an arena game. Especially if you're playing against Warriors, like the cards will just be changing like every 30 seconds. You don't really know what you're going to be laning against. You don't really know where on the map they're going to be going to, and you just have to like up your pace a lot. Yeah. And to especially to play against someone like the Warriors, and especially playing against someone like Jake, which Jake is really fun to play against. But again, we trolled a bit in mid, I think, game 2, and I definitely trolled a bit in ADC, trying to defend my purple buffs, and they took like a bad fight mid or whatever. We talked about it afterwards. Yeah, I was still really happy with how he played. I honestly thought the games were going to go worse than they did, which was kind of funny because yeah, we felt like we had a solid chance to win both games, but we definitely played a bit too troll.
Yeah, is there? I mean, the conversation around the Warriors, and I don't want to fall into the trap of like a team that you never give credit to or whatever, right? Like, okay, they won, but this could happen. They won, this could happen. But I think there could be a conversation around. Clearly, this is a very talented team, and they're going to make some waves this year. Is there a world in your mind, or is this even just a wrong way of thinking about it, where meta and speed kind of settle and slow down, and the only Warriors are maybe slowed a bit in the way that they want to play the game? Or do you not think that really happened? Like, is the meta right now and for the foreseeable future just how the only Warriors like to play?
It'll depend on patches for sure going into spring split. Depending on, if some mage items get nerfed, a lot of Hebo I saw the rest of the week, and that guy was one-shotting. I think at the very end I saw him ult for 2.1k, which is a big number.
That did happen, yes.
So we'll see what happens as the patches develop and as the metas develop.
Do you think that what we saw this weekend was like settled meta for the first like couple weeks of the SPL, or was it sort of Wild West?
I'll say a mix of both, which is
Okay.
kind of a cop-out answer, but
No.
depending on the team will depend on the style of play. Like if we watched Kings and Dragons play, I think it would be a very different version of Smite than watching Warriors play against those teams. That being said, to your point earlier, I think regardless of the meta, I think now that Warriors have won a tournament doing this, I think that they will only be doing this for the foreseeable future.
That's right.
And just pressing the gas at every objective, at every buff, and just kind of trying to spread you as thin as possible on the map and make you feel as uncomfortable as possible. Because Sa wants to be invading, Jake wants to be invading, Pagon wants to be invading, Panton wants to be invading. Netroid is just like along for the ride, doing whatever Jake is like controlling him around the map. As someone who is laying with Jake, you're going into the fire every single time. So I think I think Warriors will just continue to be playing this way regardless of meta. I think the meta would have to slow down a lot for Warriors to be a bad team.
Got it. And actually Pete in chat makes a really good point. With the way that the year is structured with updates and stuff, we're doing these big seasons during year 10 of Smite. In theory, there are these big disruptive updates at different points throughout the year. So teams and their ability to adapt and make big changes. I don't know how long our season cycle is, 3-4 months, something like that. Every few months, will get tested. So that was our quarterfinal day. We had 2 semifinals on Saturday. It was Hounds and Dragons going up against one another. Both of our semifinals ended up 4-game sets. And I was joking with one of the casters. Normally we have to wait so long to get 3-game sets in the quarters, 4 or 5 game sets in semis or finals. We had double 4-game sets on Saturday, and that was Hounds v Dragons up first. I think his Dragons team meshed together nicely. There were a couple of times, I think specifically in game 1 against the Leviathans, and then which one did the Hounds win? Hounds maybe won game. No, they won game 3 and pushed us to game 4. There were moments where it was like Oni Warriors of last year, that team from last year, like little shades of some decision-making issues kind of like poked their way in, and I saw some openings, right? But went back to a lot of their play style, and I actually talked to them, the Jade Dragons, a few of them today, and their read on that team was, on their team, is that they feel like they're flexible enough in draft and flexible enough in play style, that from game to game they can have really different roles to carry, different roles to play through. And I think we saw a bit of that in the semifinals specifically. There were some games where Dardes went off, had a big Hera game. Lazra got Athena jungle back. Saw some big Lazra games. You trust Nika with the Surtur, which I don't know, might have been the first or second time we saw Surtur that weekend. And so I think, you drop a game to the Hounds, and I think that's this is going to be the type of team that in a best of 5 can sneak one away from you, and maybe later in the year just take the whole set overall. But I think this was still a pretty convincing semifinal from the Dragons.
Yeah, I want to bring up a lot of individual plays.
Sure.
We saw Benny Q, I think, solo Dardes twice.
Did happen.
And then I saw Coast solo Vote, and Coast was very happy about doing that in my chat. Made sure I watched that on normal speed too. So shoutouts to Coast. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I think Hounds are going to be devastatingly good throughout the year, because I just think all of them are playing so well together. I think Oath is coming out really strong. I think Ducky had a really strong performance too.
Coast is in this chat now. We gotta say
unlucky.
We gotta say mean things now.
I literally added and typed V, and there was no one in chat. and then Coast somehow slides in. I wanted to give him a compliment when he wasn't here, and somehow he's listening.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're gonna have to lane against this guy all year long.
I really don't want to. That guy is really good.
He was saying mean things about you before. Okay, no, there's no way. Barrow's too nice.
The main thing I said was he did the thing where you buy an item and then there's a space between the item you bought and your next item, and I was like, Coast, why are you doing this to me? Like,
yeah, like visually that's obnoxious. Yeah,
exactly.
Right? I agree.
It's like putting your starter in the wrong slot. Like, just don't do it. It just looks so bad when I
hate when people pick rat, you know, because you get the acorn automatically and the starter's like one over. It sends me.
Yeah, I think Coast had a really good weekend, especially when he got one shot by Hera. That was really fun to watch as a backliner. Just kind of knowing.
There we go. Yeah, this is good.
just
totally flip the script.
Die in Ishtar right after he sends it out, and then there's Hera to max range, Argus on his dome, and then Coast, just insta dies. But
what a dream!
At least he peeled his mid laner that was out of position. Back to actual. I do think Hounds are gonna be insanely good this year. Just watching Oath play, I think Oath was the biggest question mark for me on this squad, and I think. Just watching him play aggressively, watching him play confidently, I think that I don't want to say it will be like the next like Annister, because that seems weird, but I think he's going to be the next like big name after this weekend. Because
I can see it.
He was making plays when they were behind. He was making plays when they were ahead, and I think for your jungler to be having that mindset of not just going to farm, still trying to force things, still trying to make plays, I think that's really big for your team morale as well. So yeah, I think they're going to be insanely good. I think the fact that they won a game in this set, I kind of knew that Ferrymen weren't going to be great at this land, so I was kind of expecting Hounds to win. Yep. But just watching them like being able to take a game off of Dragons and being able to watch them make individual outplays, which I think is how they're going to win a lot of games this year. I think Hounds are going to be really good.
Yeah, I think we talk so much about this Only Warriors team and how individually mechanically talented they are, for good reason, because they are maybe one of the most mechanically talented teams in the league. I think we've got a lot of that with this Hounds team as well. And the Hounds could have won game one of this set against the Dragons. They were up in kills for I think the entire game. I think the Dragons decided them at fire at like the 25-minute mark, and with those 5 kills went from 1 kill behind to 4 kills up. So the Hounds had a really good game one, and then a bit of a bad fight towards the end. So they could, this one could have gone 5 against the Dragons. And so good signs of life from the Hounds. But I also think fans who are a fan of the core of Nika, Dardes, Vote, or Laz or Mike, are also seeing a team in the Dragons that can be cool and collected when behind, when the game's on the line, because the Only Warriors were not super consistent in those types of moments over the last couple years. And so I think this was a test of a set for the Dragons, and I think one that'll instill some confidence in their fans, but also Hounds fans. A team with a lot to look forward to, because you're right, they were able to scrap pretty effectively with the Dragons. They were down 0-2 after could have potential winning game 1, won game 3, forced game 4. It's kind of easy mentally to bow out of a moment like that when you're down 0-2, but they were able to stick with it. So that's a 3-1 J Dragons win. Only Warriors back in action against the Camelot Kings. I think this was the anticipated or the really analyzed match on Saturday. It's sort of this wild play style of the Only Warriors versus the calculation of the Camelot Kings, and I think both teams have shown us that they can play both styles. But this is an Only Warriors 3-1 win over the Camelot Kings. I was thinking, maybe we're going a Kings win here. I thought the Kings might be able to shut them down. The Kings do win game 1, but then it's just 3 straight rattled off wins for the Only Warriors.
Yeah, I still just think if they didn't have Afro Solo, I think they would. Like, they had an Afro Solo that I'm pretty sure died at level 1 or level 2. and that is not a good start for Afro Solo. But then you still
yes, level 2.
You were able to watch the kind of more comeback potential of the Afro Susano late game, especially with the Mori too. I think that was the game. Just the potential of Warriors to make comeback plays and to still kind of like Oath we talked about earlier, just still kind of making plays when you're ahead or behind. I think we saw a lot of plays like that from Warriors where they were just not letting off the gas pedal, regardless of the situation, just making plays.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big also reality check for Kings to play against that pace. It's a very NA style of pace, in my opinion, and just holding the gas the entire time. And I think Kings will have to adjust their playstyle if the meta stays like this to try to beat a team like Warriors right now.
Which is what... Sorry, go ahead.
Or just try to like beat them in drafts somehow.
Right. Well, that was the conversation we had, right, with the Kings was, I mean, obviously you're going to favor them before we've seen any Smite get played, but depending on what the meta favors, that'll have to roll around a bit. Yeah, the Warriors go kind of nutty in game 2. They kind of mop the floor with the Kings. A stinker of a game for Twig, goes 1-7 on the Rat, compared to the 5-0 from Panatom on the Susano. And this is before the game is even over in the screenshot that I'm looking at, so it could have gotten worse.
They were just jamming solo side into the Rat, and then they were jamming duo side. The Rat couldn't get any ganks anywhere, and then Pagon, was he Thoth that game?
Pagon was Hebo in game 2 and ends at like 6-1 or something.
Was that
crazy
the game
like
where he had like crazy player damage?
Game
3. There's so many.
I mean, he ended
games.
with like 15 or 16k by the end of a 25-minute game. But did get... Where did he get Hebo back later? No, he got Merlin in game 4. Where's game 3?
Yeah, I think it was game 3.
Yes, game 3 he went nutty. He had 23,000 damage in 26 minutes. 24, 25. Every time I scroll forward, he's got 1,000 more damage. Ends with about 30,000 damage in a 30-minute game at 83
for a Hebo. To be able to do that much damage is a pretty close range character. I remember the last team fight of game 3. He got a triple Hades ult. Saw got a triple Hades ult.
That's right.
Pagon got a double Hebo ult. And if that many people are getting hit by those buttons, you cannot win a team fight. As a backliner, like, you literally, there's nothing you can do if you guys group up.
Fight. There it is.
Hades ulted. Like,
whoa! Oh my god! Did I miss this?
Pagon.
Oh no! Genetics. He Horused 2 Twig.
Yep.
Oh my god, that is unlucky. Yeah, that was a smackdown by the Oni Warriors.
Yeah, because it was just like the game was just happening, and then they just got destroyed instantly.
And then kind of happens again in... It's actually not as dramatic. Kings bring a lot of fight. Actually, how did the Kings lose this? Kings were up like 4,000 or 5,000. They were up 5k at 25 minutes, and then
Pagon just goes crazy.
Yeah, I guess it's the Merlin got some items online. They got FG, and the game kind of flipped around from there. So I think the Kings maybe caught a bit off guard by speed later in that game.
I think that was the game where Yark and Twig just walk away from fire. Warriors just walk back to fire after a fire team fight, and then just get fire for free. And I was like, I was watching. I'm like, what? Like, why are they just walking away from fire, Giant?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, especially as a team that we know is as good around objectives as the Kings are. So this is where the Kings bow out of this tournament semifinals. I'm not worried about the Kings this year. Could the sailing may not be as smooth as it was during Worlds. You know, you're probably not sweeping every team that you play this year. But this is a very talented team.
Yep.
And so I'm giving them some leeway, some leash to figure out the meta and kind of bounce back. And it could be a quick conversation because on Sunday, the grand finals of the kickoff tournament, Jade Dragons, Oni Warriors. And the Oni Warriors simply do it again. They Jazzberry jam. I don't know if you can still call the Jade Dragons the Jazzberry Jammers because four of the 5 team members are gone.
As authentic.
I think the Oni Warriors might be the Jazzberry Jammers this year. They got Pagon,
Sure.
the king of it. And again, I talked to Mike and Nika and Lasber today. You know, of course you want to win. They're treating a set like this, as I'm sure all the pros did, as a more productive, more serious scrim environment, right? Obviously there's something on the line with drafting and things like that, but you know, without serious prizing, worlds, all that sort of stuff on the line, I think they were trying to just figure some stuff out. And Mike admitted that it was a pretty fun set to play because you're just constantly scrapping. So game 1, Pagon gets the Thoth, and the Oni Warriors are up 10k gold at 20 minutes despite only having 6 kills, which I think is pretty impressive. Oh, and I got to the point in the VOD where Sot is being 3v1'd in duo, and he one-shots Laz, and then Panatom rolls in and cleans up. He's later on in the game on Mercury. I think this was the set where I started going nuts because it felt like I saw more 1v1s, 2v1s, things like that than I was expecting. And I think the only times the Oni Warriors slowed down in the finals is when they like simply did too much. You know, they overstayed or like, all right, I'm gonna go on a solo mission and see what happens. And then the Jade Dragons were able to like find a pick and really slow the game down. But other than that, the aggro play style really worked against this Jade Dragons team. Even in a game where the kills were lower, like game 1, you know, it was like 6-4, and the Oni Warriors were still like 10k ahead. And so if there is a settled meta, the Oni Warriors have figured it out.
Yeah, they will be picking lane pressure in all 3 lanes and counter matchups in as many lanes as they can and holding those W keys as often as they can. Which I think kind of giving, well, I guess it's only PBM a taste of his own medicine from the years that he's
That's right.
done these full smart gameplays of the Hercs and the Fenrirs and everything to get in your face and just kind of like having to play against 5 players that are doing that back. I think as a overall synopsis, I think as teams play more against Warriors, they'll get more used to it.
Right.
But to counter that argument, people played a lot against Dragons when they were playing full pressure, and people never learned how to play against it.
Yeah, I mean, pressure is still pressure, right? I mean,
we are still playing Smite.
We are still playing Smite, and it's difficult to play against. I remember Laz actually, I think, had a really good, or maybe really good is an overstatement, but a pretty good set this set. Game 2, where I'm looking at it right now, he's 6-2 on the Susano, but everyone else on the Dragons is a bit slow. Nika's okay in a moment like this on the Surtur, but I think, because Pagon starts off game 2 0-5 on the Hebo. Stop me if you've heard this before. He starts off 0-5 on the Hebo, and then he's equal in level. And then in one team fight at the 18-minute mark, he's 0-5-6. Dumorb, Deso, Tahuti, like insta-Gibbs vote, and then kind of, I guess KS is a kill on Delaz a little bit for the double kill. But speaks to this team and them playing Hebo, and it happens again. The Hebo thing does in game 3. This time Sot gets it and did, I think, 2k is what we said to whoever his target was.
2.1k at the very end of the game.
I'm watching a 3-man knock-up from Sot. Game 3 went absolutely off the rails. This was like a 70-kill, 30-minute game. Yeah. I think the Jade Dragons maybe having some fun, but also just trying to keep up with the pace of the Oni Warriors. We had no tanks in this game except for the mage supports building tank. Laz is going crazy again in game 3. He's 11-4 on the Susano, but the Oni homies. I guess if you're gonna play their scrap game plan, you better come correct, and it did not quite happen in game 3.
Yeah, I think Jake was Nox game 3.
Yep, he was.
If I remember correctly, and
he went nutty. He went 0-3-13 at this point.
There were so many team fights where he would just control Lass every single time Lass went in, and to be able to control a Susano in the mid game and the late game is a really hard job to do, especially in this meta where he is just one-shotting your backliners. And I remember about 3 different situations where Jake just not destroyed Lass, but like made his play not happen over and over and over again.
Yep.
And that is so frustrating as a jungler to deal with. Wait, which game was it? Game 1 when Vote was Chiron?
I just watched Vote get deleted in game 2. That was when Pagon was 0-5. He might have also been in game 1.
There was a Chiron game where he went.
There was game 2 for sure. He was Chiron. Game 1 Vote was Ishtar.
Is weird.
It was Bluestone Devo's Chiron game 2. Yeah, there was some different hunter builds rolling out this weekend, I think. We saw a little Transcendence, but that was really like the ability-based hunters as you expect.
Or for
Bloodforged, Devos. AMC was really the one building Transcendence.
Yeah, there was a game where Coast built it, I think, where he did his Cowl 40% pin build trans.
That's right.
Which I don't think is that bad. It does destroy frontline and your poke. It was pretty good, but I think it was letting us a Jing Wei, so we'll probably have pressure anyways this time.
Yep.
You can just kind of walk at her and won her.
Yeah, it was a good weekend for the homies, and I think it was a good weekend for the Dragons as well. I think this team got a lot of win conditions and some stuff to look forward to. So that was the finals, a 3-0 for the Oni Warriors to end their weekend. With that, we moved into the draft show, and unless there's a group standing thing directly in front of me, I'm going to forget what division everyone was in, but we went back and forth, drafted divisions, and I'll find the actual sheet as I'm talking about this. What's your read on the divisions? We can just touch on this quickly before wrapping things up here. Play the teams in your division twice, teams in the other division once, top 2 teams, one from each division go to Masters. I mean, I'm glad we're trying something new. You know, it's different from just every team playing every other team. However, I don't know if it's going to be some big transcendent league-changing type of format. I think it's cool, but maybe different is where it ends instead of completely game-changing.
Yeah, I would say it's slightly different. I agree with you. I don't think it'll be anything gigantic. And also, a lot of people are talking about not being able to scrim the people that are in your group or whatever it's called. And I think as long as you're not playing them that weekend, I don't see a reason why you can't scrim them unless Hi-Res is like blocking you from scrimming.
I have to imagine we're not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like everyone's still gonna scrim each other. But I do think it's a interesting change to the schedule to just make it a bit different and make it less,
a bit more streamlined too. I think we had like 8 or 10 week long like phases last year that felt like dragged on for a little while, and I think we're doing this is a 5 or 6 week phase going into Masters. This is a whole different discussion, but like when you're doing like double round robins all year long, that it is a lot of Smite. There's so much Smite, and so I'm totally down with something that kind of streamlines that schedule. You still get a good amount of Smite. There's something different to talk about, something different to track, right? Divisional standings and those types of matchup. Who still has to play who? Potentially some rivalries in the divisions. I know that we only have a handful of players that really love to get snappy with one another, but you know, teams playing each other a bit more. All right, so the Order division: Kings, Ferrymen, Hounds, you guys. Chaos division: Oni Warriors, Dragons, Leviathans, Gladiators. You guys got a pretty solid division there, Barry. You got Kings, Hounds, and you guys and Ferrymen all in the same squad. Do you think in the Order division is the more difficult of the two?
Wait, which one was Order? Which one was Chaos?
You guys are Order. Kings, Ferrymen, Hounds, you.
Okay.
Oni Warriors, Dragons, Leviathans, Glads on the other side.
I think
that's tough.
How long are the groups? Are they all year?
It is. Ooh, that's a great question. I actually have no idea what our second half of the year looked like.
I think currently with how the teams are, I think we got the easier group. That's very currently with how they are, with teams scrimming the way they are, and with the meta being how it is. I think we have the easier group. Slightly easier, not gonna say by like a large margin or anything.
Yeah.
But I would not want to be in a group with Warriors and Dragons.
Bear, you guys were last picked. Are you feeling slighted by the rest of the league? Are you feeling
very slighted right now?
Yeah. Do you feel like you got a chip on your shoulder now?
No. Feeling very offended right now. Just very slighted, yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know. It was you might have ended up on that side. Because remember, we were talking about it. I thought it was going to be Dragons on one side, only Warriors on the other, and then those two just drafting their divisions back and forth. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, everyone's got to beat everyone to win these tournaments. I mean, It is a cool new looking way of looking at things. I think only Warriors and Dragons after that first tournament being in the same group is could be fun if those two teams kind of try to match pace with one another. I think your group, depending on how Kings, Ferrymen adapt and how the Hounds grow, could be really strong, really great. Could be a slower side of the league, but I guess that's sort of the discussion point around all of it and dividing things up into two different sides. Okay, so that was the Smite Pro League kickoff tournament. The Oni Warriors won it. They dropped one game, I think, all weekend long. You said what, 8-0 or 8-1 rather. Really good weekend for them. Highland Ravens, it's the comeback tour throughout phase 1. I can feel it. I'm a big Ravens fan.
Our scrims have been better, so that is very nice.
Good.
From before.
That is big thumbs up.
Every day was kind of a fiesta, where now there's a bit more drafting cohesion and cohesion with what we want to do. So
there's always going to be some build-up, nice. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's always going to be some build-up.
Sometimes you don't mesh immediately, and there's some growing pains, but yeah.
Whatever the opposite of a honeymoon phase is, when two people start dating and they hate each other immediately, whatever that phase is called, it's not the honeymoon phase. It's although you guys don't hate each other, but if we're keeping you do hate each other. Okay, so yes, the opposite of the honeymoon phase.
I think.
Go ahead.
Also, I will say, we did have to play Warriors first round, so...
That is true, and everyone was getting warriored.
Exactly.
So, if you played them any other round, it might have been the finals that you guys played them in.
Exactly.
I agree. That's just unluck of the draw. Before we close, are we supposed to do a random question? We did not do it last time. I ran far away from it on accident.
I don't know how to change my Discord without leaking because currently it is using the monitor and not the Discord application itself.
I'm gonna Google random question generator.
Okay.
And just see what pops up.
I can also try to hide it. I can hide your face and just go to like the end screen, and I can go through my Discord, and that'll work.
I mean, this one's kind of good. Pirates or ninjas?
For what?
Just pirates or ninjas? Which do you prefer?
Probably ninjas.
You think? Yeah. I actually think I might pick pirates.
Why?
I think ninjas are cool. All right, here's the thing, and I think
overrated?
No. Okay. I think pirates are maybe underrated. I think that actually, you know what? I might be talking myself out of this. I think pirates, I was going to say, or maybe misunderstood. You think it's all cool, swashbuckling, you're sailing the high seas, you're drinking rum, and you're plundering and you're doing your thing. In reality, it's like a disgusting life, isn't it? Like you got scurvy, you're famished, you're like encrusted in salt all the time because you're on the ocean all day. And I don't know, you're dirty, you don't get to take showers. And I think the like roaming around and plundering and pillaging is only a small portion of what they do. I think you're like, think of sea travel back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're sailing from from England to the US, it's not like you hop on a plane and 8 hours later you're there. You're like on the ocean with no motor, with hoping the winds are good for like 6 months to get across the sea, and you got to hope that you have enough pickled herring to last you a trip across the ocean. I'm talking about ninjas are better. I guess the question is, would you rather be a ninja or a pirate? I'd rather be a ninja. I'd take it back. You get to sit and meditate.
I was so confused. I was like, you're only talking down pirates.
Yeah, no, I'm changing my answer. The more I thought about it, the more I'd rather be a ninja. You're really well trained. I imagine you're well fed. You're an assassin of the highest degree. And the only redeeming quality of being a pirate is like there are no rules, right? You kind of just get to do your thing. Yeah, I'm sticking with ninjas, I think.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty easy ninjas for me. Like,
okay.
Basically for all the reasons you said, it's just cooler. You don't have to worry about being at sea for a very long time, which I don't really enjoy being out in the ocean for a long time. And then also on top of that, as a pirate, you're having to steal, which stealing isn't cool.
That's true. That's true.
Unless you're battling other pirates, and then it's cool. But if you're stealing from good people, then that's just not a good thing to do.
That's just Robin Hood, and they write stories about you.
Exactly.
All right, one more question. What animal do you think best reflects your personality? I've been called, and I still can't determine if this is a good thing or a bad thing. By people I've dated in the past, I've been called a golden retriever. In that, I'm happy, I'm attentive, and this is me assuming this is what they mean.
Okay.
Either it's I'm beautiful and dumb, which is one option for golden retrievers, or I'm like always excited to see them. I'm attentive. I'm fiercely loyal. I'm always adventurous. Like those types of things, I think would be good. And so I think I do have kind of like a happy dog personality a good bit of the time. So I think hopefully an intelligent breed of dog is what reflects my beautiful, attention-seeking, and stupid is how to read this. Oh no, unlucky.
Golly.
No way.
That was very aggressive, Cathar.
Yeah, no, I'm sad. No, it's okay. Yeah, so I think dog.
Yeah,
I think dog of some variety.
I just see retriever as fiercely loyal and
good.
always
Yep.
happy. That's how I see
That's
it.
me. Yeah, good. Okay, that's me then. That's me. You know what? I'm gonna look this up. What animal do you think?
I would say almost like loyal to a fault for a golden retriever. Like regardless of the situation, you'll be happy. It's not like you're gonna judge them for doing something wrong. You're always going to be by their side supporting them.
Wait, I like this.
That's a bad thing.
A significant other that is easygoing and makes it fairly simple to maintain a happy and fulfilling relationship. Book it.
That's perfect.
I'm calling it. That's me. All right, I'll take that. What animal do you think describes your personality, Barra? And then we can wrap things up here. Would you be a barracuda?
No, I think they're jerks. I think they're very mean, and I think they attack people a lot.
They attack Nemo and his family.
Yeah, I honestly don't really know what kind of animal.
Would you be a raven?
No.
What's your mood at the moment? Are you chilling? Are you vibing? Are you energetic? Are you
tired? I've had insomnia for 2 weeks straight. So...
All right, so something nocturnal.
Yeah, like a cat, maybe?
A cat. You could be a cat. Sometimes tired and lethargic. Do you ever just get random bursts of like sassy energy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so maybe
it depends on the person I'm talking to, yes.
Okay. Maybe you're a cat then. Maybe we're in our cat phase of life.
Yeah, I think I am. I've slept like 3 to 4 hours a night the last 2 weeks, and I am.
People are saying koala.
Is a koala a good thing?
Koalas are actually like terrible animals. I think they're like disease ridden and they're mean, and I think they're actually so stupid But it's not that eucalyptus is the only thing they can eat to stay alive. I think they literally only know how to eat eucalyptus, if I remember correctly. I could be spreading misinformation about koalas, but
wait, what are the cute little like red pandas?
Yeah, red pandas. We like them. I bet they're pretty chill.
I'd rather be a red panda than a koala, because you're not really selling koala as a good thing. Which I would like to be a good thing.
All right, we're getting so sidetracked. Koala mean. Are koalas mean? Everyone place your bet.
I would say
they're not typically dangerous. They sleep 22 hours a day.
That's the opposite of me.
They might. Yeah, right. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe koala, maybe cat. And you know what? Whatever animal is the most, I think cat, because animals are also mysterious. They can't figure out exactly what they are at any given time. And so I think we're sticking with a nice cat for Barracuda. All right, so Dave the golden retriever, Barra the house cat. I am a koala hater, chat. You got it. You got it correct here. Am I missing out on anything before we close the show? I want to make sure I don't ruin Agro's spot here.
I don't think so.
Okay, fantastic. Congrats to the Oni Warriors for kicking off the SPL season with a dub in that tournament. Buy your Raven stock now, because it's going to be worth a whole lot come World's time when Barry the Cat's lifting that hammer. You heard it here first. Woo! Sweet. Thanks so much for tuning in. Oh, I didn't do this last time.
Oh.
Barra, do you have something else?
No, I was
gonna say, Barra, you know what to do.
Bye.